with the incredible worldwide success of the Shabbos project, where communities across the globe are keeping Shabbat together, has come the proliferation of the challah bake. This is a preparation for the Shabbos project in which hundreds, if not thousands of women get together to make challah, to make loaves in preparation for Shabbat, and to fulfill the mitzvah of removing challah from the dough. What exactly is this mitzvah? What is the meaning behind it? Why do we do it? And why is it that we take that piece of challah that we remove from the dough and burn it? Why not use it for some more constructive purpose? And in this week's parashah, the Torah tells us about the mitzvah of challah. To give a little bit of background, the Talmud tells us that there are 24 gifts that were given to the Kohanim, to the priests. Hashem set aside the tribe of Levi, and from that tribe he set aside one family, the family of Aharon, to become the Kohanim. And the duties of the Kohanim were many. They were to serve in the temple, but first and foremost they were going to be the rabbis, the teachers of the Jewish people. And as such, they had no time for agriculture and normal work. They had to be supported by the community so that they could fulfill their duties. And hence they were given 24 gifts. Some of these gifts could be consumed and could be given to them anywhere in Israel. Some of these gifts were given to them and could be consumed only in Jerusalem. And some of these gifts were given to them only in the Holy Temple. One of the gifts that was given to them throughout the land of Israel was challah. This meant that when a person needed a certain amount of dough, and there is a specific quantity, he would have to take what's called reshit ha'isa, the first part of that loaf, of that dough, and give it to the Kohen, and then the Kohen could use it to make his own bread. This was originally the mitzvah of challah. And challah applies, like most of the agricultural laws, only in the land of Israel. But then, of course, came the diaspora, the exile. And the sages at the time, the sages of the temple said, we're not living in Israel. But it would be a terrible thing if we would forget the mitzvah of challah, if it would just cease to be altogether. And therefore, what we're going to do is we're going to require everybody who lives in the diaspora to remove a little piece of dough from the flour that they're baking for their bread, any bread, whether it be for the weekday or for Shabbat, to take that little piece of dough to make the bracha, lahafrish challah min ha'isa, that God, you've commanded us to remove this piece from the flour, from the dough, and to burn it. Why to burn it? Why can't we give it to the Kohen? And here we come to a technical point. This challah, in fact, was holy. It was so holy that it could only be eaten by a Kohen, and it could only be eaten by a Kohen in a state of purity. The problem today is that most of us, unfortunately, are impure. So as soon as we remove the challah from the dough, it becomes impure. We therefore cannot give it to a Kohen. What do you do with something holy that becomes impure? You have to burn it. Hence, that is what we do today. But it's become an incredibly meaningful mitzvah specifically for women, although it is not unique for women. If a man is making flour, is making dough, he also has to remove the challah from the dough. But it has a special importance for women. And in fact, we learn in Bameh Madlikin, which is the second chapter of Tractate Shabbat, which we recite on Shul on Friday nights, that there are a number of mitzvot that are unique, that are special for women. And of course, one of them is lighting the candles, going to the mikveh on a monthly basis, and removing challah from the dough. And in this way, one can bring blessing to one's bread. In other words, the way that the sages explain it is as follows, is that of course we want God's blessing to come into our homes. We want His blessing to permeate all of our physical things. And Hashem says, fine, 100%. I will bless your physical things. And an example of this, the ultimate example, is bread. Bread is the staple of life. And therefore He says, if you want blessing in your bread, remove that first portion and give it to me. Give it to the Kohen who works for me. And in that way, I'll bring blessing into your home. This is the mitzvah of challah. Please God, we should all be able to fulfill it in its entirety one day when we return back to Eretz Yisrael with the full redemption. I wish you a Shabbat Shalom.